Hi there. My name is Holly Haynes. I'm a business strategist who helps you build a full-time business on a part-time schedule without relying on the social media algorithm. And on this week's episode, we're ditching the unrealistic productivity hacks and talking about real life solutions so that you can feel better, which in turn is going to help you scale faster. We're talking about things like sleep schedules, which are science-backed, family planning sessions, which help you get rid of scheduling conflicts, and even grocery shopping hacks that saved the most time. So these are tips and tricks that keep my family and business running smoothly. And I hope that they help you create a schedule that works for you. Tune into this episode and make sure to head to hollymaryhaynes.com/CEO week to learn the entire framework. Hello, and welcome to this week's pep talk. If I'm being honest, a lot of times I plan these topics well in advance, which is something that I teach. But today I kind of went off the script because I feel like some of the topics that I am seeing behind the scenes and getting asked behind the scenes are real life productivity hacks. Like, what are things that you're actually doing that are actually working that save you time, right? And I will say these are actual productivity hacks that I use in our business and for our family. And I share that because sometimes, well, I would say all the time, I feel like that when you feel better, your business does better. And one of the things we just recently did inside our mastermind community is what I call a community co-op. And so we were sort of like doing this like speed dating of what are things that are working in your business. And I would say 75% of them were actually personal. And so that's why I feel like it's so important to just like open the cover of like, well, what actually happens behind the scenes? Because for me, that's where I learn the most. I like to know, like, well, what does that actually mean? What do you actually do? And as a Enneagram 3 and a manifesting generator, if you're into human design, like lists and organization are my thing. Like, it makes me feel better. I feel calm when I have like a color-coded list. But I know that that is not for everyone. And so I'm really trying to just get like super raw and honest about these are things that have helped us the most in this season in hopes that they help you as well. So number one, this has nothing to do with business, but it has been very life-changing, is I get up the same time every single day. Now, obviously this didn't happen when I was in corporate, but I kept reading these studies about like, oh, you should get up the same time every day. I'm a big fan of like case studies and data. And I was like, I can't do that. Like, I have kids, our schedule's different all the time, but it sort of just happened organically. And I noticed that I usually go to bed around the same time every day. So I usually go to bed around 10 or 10:30 at the latest. Like if I stay up till 11, it's like a nightmare the next day. And I usually, if I don't set an alarm, will naturally wake up between 6 and 6:30 every day. And so I was like, I wonder if I just let myself naturally wake up for a while and see what happens. And sure enough, every single day I wake up between 6 and 6:30. It's the craziest thing, but it has improved my sleep so much. Part of it is, I think, because I don't have an alarm, which I can't even believe I'm saying that. Like if I would have said this a year ago, I feel like I would have been like, Holly, that is whack. Like, don't do that. But it's just allowed me the space to like not, I don't know, if you wake up in the middle of the night and you like look at your clock, you're like, oh, I only have 10 minutes left, or I only have 2 hours left. Like it's taken that anxiety away. It's the craziest thing. The other thing is the National Sleep Foundation, and this is where I was reading about this before I decided to try it, is like a regular sleep schedule actually strengthens your body natural like sleep wake cycle. So you feel more energized when you get out of bed. Like you actually want to jump out of bed, which is, you know, what you see everyone talk about, like have the schedule that makes you want to jump out of the bed in the morning. Well, this actually does scientifically because it's easier to fall asleep. It's deeper, more restful sleep because your body knows, hey, it's time. I'm sleeping at this time. And then increased energy levels throughout the day. So like I said, I was not on board at this, and I'm definitely not one to say that you have to follow all these things to get XYZ results. But I would just be curious if you notice that if you had the same schedule, and honestly, it's probably on the weekend where you'll have to make the biggest change, how you would feel, right? So it always comes down to how you will feel. So I do have a backup alarm clock, and that is my husband. He gets up pretty early. So it's not like I'm like sleeping through the day or I'm going to miss like a call or something, but it's been really, really cool to sort of see this happen very organically. And I'm just curious, have you ever thought of trying this? Number 2 is we plan, which this I have shared before, every week. We plan our week as a family every Sunday. So I definitely have covered this before. I did a full podcast on it in episode 198, where I talk about our 8-hour work week. And then I talk about it in episode 314, when we talk about how to create your own CEO day. But like, what does this actually look like? So now you know that I get up most days at 6 a.m., which usually means me coming downstairs and I make myself like a big glass of water with some supplements, and then I sit down to journal. So this actually still happens on Sunday morning because I get up at the same time. I do the same thing. And then my number one activity for Sunday mornings is I plan for about 30 minutes. And I break out my planner. Yes, I use it. It's the one I created. You can just go to hollymariehaines.com/planner. And then I answer the weekly reflection questions. It's the number one thing that I do. And regardless of if you have the planner or not, the weekly reflection questions are, number 1, what went well? Number 2, what do you need to improve on? And number 3, what can you do to make the next week great? And I will tell you, at this point in the morning, I am like not awake and I'm like, Holly, why? Why do you have to do these questions? But it saves me so much time in the long term because I am not repeating things that didn't go well. And I am repeating things that did go well. So I do that. And then I dig into the journal section, which if you have the planner, you know, because I share in there that I am not a big journaler. So I use the prompts, and the prompts are, what results do you want to see this week? So really like looking at your calendar and thinking like, what at the end of this week, like, what do I want to really see happen? What is your number one focus? So what's the number one thing that you want to focus on that will like drive all your results? What appointments do you have, right? So like, what do you need to prepare for? And what do you want your routine to look like? Like, what's actually going to happen? And it's honestly so simple. I mean, I would say this part maybe takes me 10 minutes. It doesn't take that long. And a lot of times I hear it's going to take too long. I don't have time. And I'm telling you, this process alone saves me 2 to 3 hours a week. So now that I have my intentions for the week, I do 3 things. The first thing is I write them all on a whiteboard in our office. And I mainly do this so that my husband can see them because we work together and we're on the same page. And next to those weekly focus, I have my monthly goals. So I can see like in one column on the left-hand side of the whiteboard is like, is our weekly focus this week? And on the right-hand side of the whiteboard is what are our monthly goals? So I can very much see if they align. That has been a game changer. The next thing I do is I time block all of my appointments and meetings. Again, we're 15 minutes into the process now. This maybe takes 5 minutes. And this is just time blocking things that's not going to move or adjust. So like, do my girls have a dentist appointment? Do I have a mastermind office hours calls? Am I meeting with someone? Like most of the time, 99% of the time, these things don't move. If there's a conflict, I move it. If something needs to change, I change it. So I'm going into my week with everything sort of planned out, where my focus is, and I know what meetings are coming. And then last but not least, I plan Monday, right? So it's Sunday morning. I plan Monday down to the hour that I wake up. Now, this does not mean if you're not a time blocker that you have to do this, but what I like to do is look at my schedule for Monday, know what's coming, know what time I have to get up, right? Which is the same time, but if it needs to be earlier, it can move. And do I need to do anything before Monday hits? That way I can take the rest of Sunday off. It's not stressful. I get rid of the Sunday scaries, like I say. And if I need to prepare anything for the week ahead, I have time to do it without stressing out. And then last but not least, and this is like a little bit of a bonus that we do, we have a calendar in our kitchen. And when my girls get up, they're 10-year-old twins, almost 11. No, they're 11. I think they're 11. Oh my goodness, they're 11. When they get up on Sunday, I have them write out their schedule and they actually do it. So they're a part of it. And so the calendar has like Monday through Sunday, and then they write down what their activities are. So do they have dance? Do they have a school event in the summer? Like, are they going swimming? Do they have a play date? And so that way they know what their schedule is. And then on Sunday night, when we have dinner, we kind of just like talk about it because it's just been part of our day. I looked at our schedule in the morning. The girls know what they're doing. And then we sort of say like, hey, this is what's going on this week. And it makes it run so much smoother. The cool part is this last part I call the family brain dump session. And so, it's kind of formal, but honestly, it's really not. It's just a weekly meeting. It's literally me asking at the dinner table. So let's not even call it a meeting. Hey, here's what's going on this week. But what it does is it reduces scheduling conflicts. There's transparency, communication, and honestly, everyone feels like they're a part of the team. And so they know like, hey, if I have like a planner launch coming up, they know that we're going to be busy like packing planners. We've got a launch event. We have things going on. Or if they have like a big dance recital, we know, hey, family's coming in town. This is what our schedule looks like. Maybe Wednesday is going to be a little crazy, but guess what? By the time we get to Friday, we'll have family pizza night. And so it just makes us feel like we're all on the same page. And you don't have to do all this at once if you're listening and you're like, Holly, number 2 is a lot. But I swear it has like changed the game in our family because we're all working together. We're all communicating together. And I'm using those weekly reflection questions to really help me figure out what to focus on. But then I'm teaching my girls of like, hey, let's be prepared for the week, which I feel like is a great trait to pass on. My guess is if you try just one of them, like time blocking your day the night before, having a family calendar meeting, really thinking about what you want to focus on for the week, that you're going to get instant results. So it's a really, really important productivity hack with multiple steps sort of worked into one. Number 3, things that we do behind the scenes. This is more of a family that has nothing to do with business, but we go to the grocery store on Wednesday or Thursday, which I almost debated sharing this, but I was like, no, this is really important. Like, this is actually something that helps us a lot because it's less crowded. It forces me to do a grocery list on the day that's not the weekend. So all of my planning is not put on Sunday and I don't feel overwhelmed. And then on Sunday, what I'll do is I'll kind of like lightly meal prep. I say lightly because I don't love to meal prep. I think I have like meal prep trauma from a few years ago. But we usually cook 3 to 4 times a week. The rest is leftovers. We have one night where we go out. We're very scheduled people, but it's all easy, right? Like it makes it easy. And the whole concept of this is we're doing things on different days. So Sunday is not completely filled with chores and meal prep and grocery and all the things. Like we're shifting it to different days of the week so that you do get a break and you are like, oh, this isn't that bad. This only took me 20 minutes. This only took me 15 minutes. So when I sit down to make the grocery list, I lightly meal plan. I've talked about this a lot on previous episodes, but I love the Fed and Fit cookbook and the Fed and Fit blog. We could do a whole episode on her business model. It is an amazing case study, but she sends an email out every Thursday. And guess what? It has grocery lists, meal plans, all the things. And then I pick what I want from that. I create our family meal plan, and then Scott goes to the grocery store. So Scott being my husband. So it's a really, really cool model that has helped us separate things on different days. So again, the weekend doesn't feel like, oh, I've got to do all the chores. The next item that we do, as in real life productivity hacks that actually work, is we hold a monthly financial meeting, sometimes weekly. I would say most of the time it's weekly, but you should definitely do monthly at the end of every month, which basically is like the second week of the new month because it takes a minute for all the things to come through. And while we do business finances for the most part, we also go through personal finances, which leads to our goal as a family. And then we talk about like, what do we want to do? What do we want our schedule to be like? What do we want the next few months to look like? And I know this sounds like super, super simple. Like you can have a a family finance meeting in like 15 minutes if you want to. But it allows us to be on the same page for what is coming and to take a look at our habits. So habits as in like, hey, how many Amazon purchases was that this week? I'm using this as a real life example because some months it's like, oh my gosh, this is insane. But I feel like if you're really clear on what you want, right? Like going back to number one, it's a lot easier. So you can have a focus. The other thing that sort of comes out of this is really looking at your business trends. And the reason we do that is because you look at your business holistically, right? As like last year in May, this happened, or last summer, this happened, or last winter, this happened. Then it's way easier to make financial decisions. This is actually something that we do in the mastermind now. At the end of every month, we have a co-op meeting and my husband comes in and we talk about finances and consumer sentiment and trends to look for. And it's really, really, really powerful. So if you take anything away from number 4, make sure to set yourself a financial date. And then number 5, which I kind of covered a little bit in number 1, is go to bed with a plan. So again, this is similar to number 1, but every night before I shut down my computer, I re-look at what is happening the next day. So what do we have planned? Who needs to go where? What needs to be communicated? And if I wait to do this until the morning, my morning routine becomes so stressful. And when I worked full time, I actually called this my transition time. So I would transition from my full-time job, and then I would take a peek at my calendar, plan the next day, and then drive home, which means I was transitioning into, okay, mom, wife, Holly time, right? So I want you to think about setting up a transition each day where you can end your day and reflect on what you have going on the next day. Number 6, and I think you probably knew that I was going to share this, is embrace theme days. So this is something that I came up with when I was working full time, and I still do it today. And that is really thinking about your CEO week. What themes make the most sense for you? And so I share this in our 5-day challenge. It's totally free. It's hollymariehaynes.com/CEO week. But stay tuned because starting next week after this episode, we have a whole month long dedicated to our CEO week framework. We have revamped the challenge and we are hosting it live on the podcast to give you actionable steps that you can take the entire month. So you're going to want to make sure to come back and listen. But at a high level, you really want to embrace theme days, right? For streamlined activities, right? So think about as like, a non-business example is Monday is meal prep, Tuesdays are errands, Wednesdays are homework help. Like I'm totally making this up. A business example is Monday is content day, Tuesday is podcast day, Wednesday is website day. And whenever you have hours to work on that task, that's what you're focused on. So like I said, we're going to talk about it all next week, but I feel like it's really, really important. Going back to number 1, what are your goals for the week? What theme days can you create for the week that are going to help you implement that to help hold you accountable and keep you on track? And then last but not least, I know we've got a lot. This is lucky number 7, is clear the clutter before you go to bed. So as part of our nightly routine, and I give this example because I feel like our girls have like 800 papers that come home and there's like slime and all kinds of stuff over the counter, is really clear the clutter. So for me, when I get up in the morning and I come downstairs and I'm making my drink and I'm getting ready to journal, like it feels so much better when the first thing that I see is a space that is clear and clean and inviting, right? And that some of the benefits of this are very scientific and that it reduces your mental load. It helps you avoid procrastination because you're not like, oh, let me clean this up before I go do my whatever. And it honestly ensures you don't self-sabotage your schedule. But also a cluttered environment can feel really chaotic. And so when you think about like running your business and running your family and managing working full time, like what can you do that's really, really simple to make you feel better is an investment in your productivity, which is an investment in your space. Like, does your space inspire you? And even if you can't redecorate your whole space, you can definitely organize it and make it clean and open. And I think, I'm sharing this because my motto is of sharing all of these productivity hacks. We just went through 7 is feel better, do better. If you feel better, your business will do better. And so overall, I would say these hacks help our family run smoother, which in turn fuels our business. So as a recap, because there was a lot here. This is a big pep talk. Get up at the same time every day. Plan your week as a family, as a team with your spouse. Make your goals visible. Communicate them. Think about your theme days, but also we talked about go to the grocery on a different day. Don't put all of your tasks on Sunday, right? Hold a monthly financial meeting. Go to bed with a plan. Embrace your theme days. And last but not least, just make sure that your space is clutter-free. So these are some things really simple things that have been working for us. And I thought I would share. So I'm super curious. Do you do any of these? What has helped you the most? Send us a DM and share what you thought of this episode. And stay tuned because all next month we're sharing how you can actually implement the CEO Week framework with brand new content with weekly action items to hold you accountable.